So I've got this Craftsman 54-inch. It's a YTS4500 series. Mowing along, ran over a stump, and not only did the belt come off, you can see the spindle broke off completely. The other two seem to be intact. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the mower deck itself so that we can get to all the components. It's fairly easy to do. They've put these clips on there. You just need to slide them down and they pop right off. Take that loose. One of the first things we need to do, which I forgot to do, is lower the deck completely down, as far down as it'll go. That frees everything up so everything's a little looser. We'll go ahead and take the pins off of both sides. You'll see this side has 3. And of course the one that's up front there. So go ahead and remove those real quick. And I just like to lay them up here. It makes a nice work tray. You got one up front here. Let me show you. I'll show you on the other side. So each side has 3 clips that you've got to remove. And if your belt's not off already, now would be the time to take the belt off. You can move the deck around so that it would give you the room that you need to just slide that off. And once you get them off, then you just pull on the deck and it'll come loose. Alright, so we got our deck off. I've already checked. 16mm. Take that off there and get it out of the way. Blade, you can try heating it up with a torch and straightening it, but for the most part you aren't ever going to get it that straight again. This is a mulching blade. It's very, very difficult to get straight, but take your 16mm, take that blade off, and if you got a replacement you can use that. Throw that one to the side, save your bolt. You see it's still not going to go through, so we're going to turn it back over. And get to our 4 bolts here. Looks like they're 13 millimeter. Take those 4 bolts loose. Looks like we're going to have to put something on the back side of those to hold them in place. So I'm going to go get a set of vice grips just to clamp down on them to hold them in place while I break them loose. Might get lucky and be able to pop this up out of there. Depends on how bad you busted it up. But we are going to want to save this pulley. So I'm going to get a socket for that as well while I'm in there. Top nut right here is going to be a 7/8. Looks like that socket's stuck on that ratchet. Got an impact, it wouldn't take much to just hit it and it pop right loose. But not everybody does. A little bit of effort, but we got it to come loose. let that drop down so it's flush. I'm going to smack this top of the spindle to pop it out. Grab a hammer for that. Just pop it right through. Now we've got our pulley that we're going to need to save. Looks like it's got a little bit of damage, but where the belt rides, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So I'm going to opt not to replace it. Of course, if you've got one, by all means, go ahead and replace it. I'm going to make sure that you pay attention to which side was up. So you install it back the same way. Now, if you notice this collar, you want to make sure that you hang on to that. I'm not sure if the new one comes with that collar or not. That part you can pitch, the collar you save. And if you think it would help, by all means, shoot your little WD-40 on there, on the threads. And you can let it soak for a while if you want to. I'm a little more impatient. Bolts in case the new one doesn't have it. Now I want to get a replacement one. I ordered it offline. I don't know if it's the right one. Looks like it might be too big. I may have ordered the wrong one, but so far, it looks right. Looks like it came with the bolts. I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to order the part, or in the comments rather. I think it was less than $25 for this one, including shipping. Not bad if you just need the one. Looks like it comes with a new nut, new collar, new bolts. And one thing that I want to make sure that you understand these are shipped without grease in them. So you want to make sure that you put grease in it after you're done before you go using it. Otherwise you'll just burn this new one up and you'll have to take it back apart and do it all over again. One thing I want to add, you want to start all 4 bolts before you tighten them up. That way you make sure everything's lined up. You can pull them in evenly, get them nice and snug. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the blade on before I turn it back over. That way I don't have to fool with the bottom side again. At least that's the idea of it. See what size that is. Looks like it's still a 16 millimeter, which is good. Using the pulley to set on there to hold it. It shouldn't be that tight, but it is. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before on the top. Since this pulley's already damaged, it's not going to make a difference. Now you could put the nut on it, tighten the nut all the way back down and hold the nut. But like I said before, I'm a little more impatient than most people. So I just put that on there. Break that loose. Now again, if you've got a new blade, go ahead and put it on there. Now's a good time for that. I don't have a new blade, but I've got an old blade that I can put on there that's good and sharp, so I'm gonna go get that. Put it on the same way you took the other one off. You do want to make sure that you got it on the right direction. And you can see the old one versus the new one. The bolts are the same length, the washer's a little different. Now I'm going to opt to use the old washer and the old bolt. It's funny like that, but this looks like a case hardened bolt. This one doesn't. This looks like one they took off the shelf. I'm not so sure it's going to hold just the same, so I'm going to use the old one. upright. Get our new top nut. And I'm going to double check the thickness of the collar. You can see that they're about the same thickness, which is nice. And what you want is for it to touch the bearing, the inner part of the bearing, because that's what's going to spin. It looks like the new one is going to cause more harm than the old style. So I'm going to use the old style collar. But I am going to use the new nut because it hasn't been tightened down yet. You want it on there pretty snug. You don't want it flying off anywhere. You can see it still looks kind of funny right there, but like I said before, it's not really going to affect anything. But I did just find a burr the wrong way. Cut me pretty good. So I'm going to take a file. I'm going to file the inside of that, and then I probably created it using these. But I want to take that burr off of it so that it doesn't damage the belt. Otherwise it'll just shred the belt. So I'm going to go get a file and take care of that. And pretty much any file that you can get in there. That's going to straighten that up. Now the burr's taken care of. Don't have to worry about it shredding the belt. We want to make sure that we grease this because it's not very easy to get to once you get the deck up underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the grease gun. We'll go ahead and grease all three of our fittings, and then we'll slide it back up in there the same way we took it off. just like in the front. When you go to the back, you'll make sure your bar gets lined up. And I accidentally pulled it all the way out. Easy enough, you can just put it back in there. It doesn't have anything that locks it. The bar takes the smaller pin. Got it on there. We'll double check our belts. They all seem to be okay. Raise our deck up. And that's pretty much about it. Now you've got it on, you can start your mower up, test them out, make sure everything's working properly. If it's not, then of course you got to go back and recheck everything.